Sylvester's like, listen, these are the bricks. He got beat up. He'll live another day, but it's a lesson learned. Kathy's like, oh no, this my son's house. He don't get beat up in his own house. Now he might go over there to Dawn Silver's house. Oh, she don't have a house. She live here in your son's house. Her and her son. Oh, my life. Got off work. I just got home and I'm trying to get these videos in. Okay, I'm not going to do my normal introduction. What I'm going to say is thank you so much for continuing to support me during a time that YouTube is oversaturated. You know, that's the baby and his ding ding. And, you know, I know you could be 1,000 other places watching 1,000 other videos, but you're here with me. Thank you all so much for continuing to support this channel. I appreciate you and I love you. Someone would come around with coke or angel dust, and I would use one night and then the next night, and on the third, that was mostly what was filling the house. And on the fourth, I would realize that I had forgotten to sleep since the night before the first night. That snowballed into episodes where I'd end up laid out on the floor of a bedroom or a bathroom waiting for someone to pick me up. Someone always picked me up, but when that happened, it could be hard for me to pick up the thread and keep working. It wasn't just drugs. There were other distractions. In October, I had to go back down to Bel Air to work out some tax years. It was on me suddenly. Someone once told me a theory that it was a direct result of the Mike Douglas show the year before. It wasn't Mike's fault, but a condition of existence, which was that the IRS had agents watching when celebrities appeared on TV, keeping track of what they claimed to own. And you think they ain't doing that for all these content creators? Baby, if you don't know anything about that Peach McIntyre, that bitch be making $82,000 checks per month and stay getting eviction notices, okay? And it's only because she does not manage her money well, all right? But the IRS is on her ass too. Pay them people their money. Even though we know it's a huge fluke, we know that they take the money out of our check, then turn around and everything we purchase with the money that is left over. After they've taken the money from our check, they taxed everything. Every single thing that we do to live, eat, breathe, shit, smoke, die, they tax everything again. I had mentioned my car collection and some people thought that it had put a burr under their saddle. I can't prove that, but I can prove that suddenly it felt like there were lots of questions about taxes. I asked Dawn Silver to manage the ranch while I was gone. The momentum of work was hard to get back. I tried. I didn't want to get into the situation I had been in with Bryant. Years going by, record label asking questions, and it wasn't just records. We had music to play, much of it on TV. Helen Reddy's show, Tony Orlando's show, Tom Jones' show. One day I was sitting in my RV looking out the window and I spotted two figures about 100 yards away. It looked like Bubba and someone else, maybe his man Blck. One figure started moving faster. He was 50 yards away, then 30, 10, and then Blck was inside the RV holding a rifle. Bubba had the idea that it was his job to force me to record. I might have been the source of that idea. Make sure I get this record done, man. This was his interpretation. Send Black up into the RV with a rifle to push me along. But I had stopped for the day and didn't give a F. Black got up on me. Bubba should have stopped it, but he wasn't in the RV at first. And even when he showed, he just stood back. I went outside and Black followed me. Then I was running and he was running too. And when I turned to confront him, he hit me in the eye with his fist. That was enough. Get the F out of here, I said to Black, but also to Bubba. It was almost like he was waiting to hear me say it. For all Bubba's criticism of Larry, that he was grabbing the spotlight, growing his presence at the expense of the group, he was doing some of that himself, not for his own benefit, but for Rose's. Because now Bubba is looking out for his wife, who is also Sly Stone's sister. Brother, you got to understand, Rose is in your band. Rose make money when you make money. Don't destroy us like this. Pause. My dogs are getting on my nerves so bad, y'all. After a hard day at work, I don't want to deal with these motherfuckers on God. So anyway, you ninjas put in a comment that Larry Graham is Drake's uncle. I didn't know that. I don't know what his daddy's name is, but he's Drake's uncle. He had started looking into a solo career for her, especially with the family stone winding down, so he got the F out of there too. Yes. Why wouldn't he look out for his wife? You, her brother. Why wouldn't you look out for your sister? People moving out, people moving in. I had space up in Nevada, so I gave one of the spare rooms to Dawn Silva and her son, also named Bubba, who was about the same age as Sylvester. They played together. Now, let me tell you the situation. The two young boys were hanging out together or playing around together. The mother felt like Dawn's son was bullying Sylvester Jr. Sylvester was amicable. He was neutral, indifferent in the situation. Kathy wanted me to give out punishment to Bubba, but I was fine with what had happened because the little boys got into it and Bubba won. Kathy's sentiment, this is Kathy Silva, Sylvester's mother, is like, wait a minute, you can't let this little boy beat up your son in his house? Sylvester's like, listen, these are the bricks. He got beat up. He'll live another day, but it's a lesson learned. Kathy's like, oh no, this my son's house. He don't get beat up in his own house. Now he might go over there to Dawn Silver's house. Oh, she don't have a house. She live here in your son's house. Her and her son. Business was the new record, High on You. The cover photo tried to recover some of the energy of Fresh. It was another shot of me jumping up in the air, taken not by Avedon, but by Herb Green, showing me not in leather suit, but in patchwork jeans. The album was a patchwork too. I Get High on You was a hit, like I thought. The rest of High on You was mostly me laying down instrument after instrument, except for the horns and the backup vocals. That meant the songs were funky. Crossword puzzle picked up where Babies Making Babies had left off, telling a story about an unmarried mother and asking questions about how our society valued women and children. One afternoon, the phone rang. It was Dawn Silva. She was at her sister's house, she said. Fine, I said. That didn't sound like big news. Then she explained the rest, which happened. She had been seeing a lawyer who had done some work with the Black Panthers, and he asked her if she wanted to meet Huey Newton. Lulu, can you please stop snoring, baby? Please, please, please. She had wanted to meet Huey Newton. By then, the Panthers had been infiltrated by the FBI's program for disrupting so-called subversive political groups. They weren't at full power anymore, but they were still doing their free breakfast program and community organizing in Oakland. Dawn went to their penthouse headquarters at the Lakeshore Apartments. When she got there, Huey had an audience with 5 or 6 other women and told them they would all be expected to do their duty, which is, one of the women asked. He explained they needed the women to help breed super soldiers. Dawn called Sylvester and said, "Could you get me the hell out of here? This crazy motherfucker want me to sit around and get pregnant by him." The third day or so, Huey came home with a woman. They went into the bedroom to breed some super soldiers, and Dawn grabbed a towel and made a run for it. She made it down the hall, down the stairs, and to the front desk where the doorman hid her in a closet and got her a raincoat. She took a cab to her sister's house in San Francisco, changed out of the raincoat into some clothes, and called me. "I'm at my sister's house," she said again. Now I understood. I picked her up in my Rolls Royce and we went to the CBS studios on Fall Court. Yeah, that'll teach you. I rescued Dawn, but I couldn't rescue everyone. Dave Kaproic was in a bad space. He felt separate from the scene at Bel Air. When he would come around, he wouldn't know where to look. And like everyone else, he was losing control of the drugs he was taking. He sank or forgot how to swim. And when he saw more water than sky above him, he went to the Beverly Hills Hotel and poured a bottle of pills down his throat. He meant to die, but he ordered up a big last meal from room service, ate too much of it, and threw up the pills. That was it for him. He moved to Boston, where he started over singing songs for kids. The last time I saw him, it was in the office of a lawyer we both knew. When we ran into each other, we had no angry words, but I knew things were different. Dave had a different memory of our last meeting. He said that he came back a few years later to LA on a visit. Could be. Went to a motel to see me. Could be. Found me with a girl in a room. Could be. He sat on a chair, he said, and sang me a song about how he had a spiritual reawakening when he went to a zoo and a hippo kissed him. That seems like the kind of thing I would remember hearing. There were girls coming in and out of the Novato house all the time. Maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe more. If a new girl came to the door and I'd like to look at her, I'd ask her to come upstairs with me. But I was still with Kathy too. We had Sylvester Jr. We were a family, even if I wasn't Dick Van Dyke. One day, rehearsal at the house was done, and I went upstairs to a room while Dawn went to the payphone to call her mother. Over the intercom system, I heard a noise from a bedroom. It was Kathy. That was fine because she lived there too, but the bedroom noise was her and a guy named Michael, a drummer who had played with us. I bolted from one room to the other, caught them in the act. It threw me off. I ran out of the room, grabbed a hammer, and ran back in. He jumped out the bed, swept up his clothes in a ball, and ran downstairs. I went after him. Hammer held up. He went out the front door, and I followed. He started down the hall. He started down the hill, and I followed. I chased him all the way down until he found another gear and a burst of speed. I didn't hear anything else about Michael after he ran down the hill. He may be running still. You know, Kathy, that's his wife. That's his baby mother. How dare you hunch another man while I'm hunching all these other women in the next room? Oh, my goodness. He can't handle it. You know that man. His ego so fragile. He can't take that pressure. When I got back, I went to the garage, got something heavy, and went after Kathy's Mercedes. I smashed the windshield and put dents into the body. Kathy was still naked, still in the bedroom, shivering and crying. I avoided looking at her like people avoid looking at the sun, but I saw the shadows she cast. She had an excuse, which was that she thought Michael was me. I know you. She had an excuse, which was that she thought Michael was me. But if she could make that mistake, it was still goodbye. I called her father. Come get her, I said. Don't hurt her, he said. I ain't gonna hurt her, I said. But she had to leave. She came back, but nothing was the same after that. The bad feelings with Kathy hung around and joined other bad feelings that were hanging around too. I hadn't solved the tax issue when I had gone down to LA. The IRS took the Bel Air house, and then they came up to Novato and drove away with some of my cars. This nigga.